ROBLOX Egg Hunt 2019. A disaster or not, I still like it, but I made a review on my main channel if you want to go check that out, so I'm not just going to review the whole egg hunt. Today we're just going to be talking about one part of the egg hunt specifically that is one of the most disappointed things that ever cursed this game. I'm talking about the Eggwick boss fight, or Evilwick. It's weird because in the chat box it says he's Evilwick, but at the top it says he's Eggwick. Make up your mind. What is he? Look, when I first jumped into this boss fight for the first time to get the Fabergé, it was so incredibly difficult because I had no idea what was coming, and plus it's really glitchy and buggy, and it's just really hard to do. So it took me a couple tries. Eggwick is one of the most disappointing boss fights in any egg hunt I've ever played. And I went into it expecting a lot from it because the rest of the lobby was really good. I really liked the way it looked and, you know, the cutscenes and stuff. But this boss fight just didn't hold up. Plus, I really like the Avengers things, but none of that applies to this boss fight. It's really bad. And something about this boss fight is that it uses some of the power eggs. Like, the power egg powers like the Telekinesis, where you get to move the things, and the walking up the walls, but that's about it. Whereas, like, the time stop thing, they could have put the time stop mechanic in this and it made it even more clever. Why, you know, use like only 2 of the powers that you are introduced to in this egg hunt instead of all of them? Because the time stop would make it more fun. I'm pretty sure they could come up with something really fun for that, but it's nowhere to be seen in this boss. So let's actually get into the boss itself. The first phase is where he throws these bombs at you that have horrid hitboxes. Literally, if you just keep jumping and moving around, it's impossible to get hit by them. The hitboxes are so small. I don't know why, but the only time I've ever got hit by this in this recording session was once. Only time I got hit by a bomb was once. So after you do that for a couple times, he starts to bring this wall up, and you get to walk up it, and then you can jump on his head to attack him. Now, the sound effects aren't really plentiful in this boss fight. There's literally no sound effects except, you know, hitting him. There's no sound effects for the boss itself or the bombs. It's just really anticlimactic, really. The only thing that there is the intense music, which doesn't really fit that well into the boss fight itself. Besides that, it's still an okay boss fight. I just had to get used to it, and there was some glitches that made it almost unplayable and difficult to beat. By that I mean it was way more difficult than it should have been to beat, like way more than it was intentionally supposed to be, I'm pretty sure, because I don't think what I'm about to talk about is intentional. After you do that mind-numbing phase for like 5 times, he pulls out a new trick where he makes half of the lobby lava. Half of the lobby just turns into lava, and there's no like line, like there's these little like yellow lines that show you where he's gonna bring the walls up, but sometimes they just glitch on the camera and you can't even see half of them, so you don't know where it's coming. It's just really buggy. Plus, he cuts in half, so he cuts the lobby in half, so if you're on the other side at that time, well, you're screwed, because you'll get hit by the lava and you'll die. Well, the lava doesn't do too much damage to you, and you get to move out of it, but it's just so weird when you get hit by the lava once. Your controls are just so weird. Like, you just fly up into the ground, or fly up into the sky, and then you just go flying in all directions. They tried to imitate the Mario 64 lava thing, the lava animation, but there's no sound effects for you touching the lava. It's just your character jumping up. The problem is that there's barely any sound effects that make this boss fight somewhat interesting. The sound design in this game was horrible. So basically the boss puts these platforms out, and sometimes the platforms are almost hard to jump on. Sometimes it's just completely random of what platforms he'll place to, you know, jump across the lava to touch his face and, you know, attack him. Sometimes I don't even think it's possible to jump over the gap, or it's barely possible to jump over the gap in some of these platforms. Wow. So you know what you gotta do now? Repeat that process a couple times, and then he pulls out a new trick. This time you do the exact same thing, but you have to make the platforms yourself with the telekinesis power that doesn't work at all. Yay! I think this is more of Roblox's fault than the developer's fault because of the really bad physics engine that has many limitations. But if they could have chose something else besides the telekinesis power to put into the game in the first place, because Roblox's physics engine sucks. So combine it with moving those platforms around, and if you hit yourself, you'll get knocked across the entire map, and you'll get stuck in the lava and inevitably die. Inevitably, I don't know how to say that word, but you'll die. I know you will. Okay, anyways, After you do that, he does it again. He goes back to his first phase and start throwing bombs. But the half of the arena is actually brought back after a couple seconds, but they could have at least made it a little bit more challenging and like kept that part of the arena lava so you only had a small space to move from the bombs, because it's just incredibly easy at this point because you already did this part and they're throwing the exact same thing at you again at the end of the boss fight. So you just do that a couple times, and in the last hit, he goes back to the phase he had before the bomb one, where you have to build platforms across the lava. It's just really lazy. Why would they just, you know, transfer between phases like that? It's like, maybe it should just be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, not phase 1, phase 3, phase 2, phase 1, phase 3, phase 2. It makes no sense. Also, a major problem that has bugged me a lot with this boss fight is in the lava parts. When you hit his face, he knocks you back, but he doesn't knock you back far enough where sometimes you'll actually hit the lava instead of touching the platform and lose health. And if you're at really low health when you do this, you're gonna die. So you'll just have to wait there for your health to regenerate, which takes an excruciating long amount of time. So yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with this boss fight, and it's probably one of the most disappointing at launch, but hopefully they actually go back and fix these problems instead of just ignoring them and keeping them in the game, you know, and not even bother to fix them, because it's kind of really disappointing. I wish there were more sound effects to it, so it wasn't really like a boring husk of a game, because that's what it felt like. All there was the music, which was kind of okay for a couple minutes, but there's no sound bosses, like bosses for the sound, and even worse, the cutscene at the end is glitched. Plus, you can only get one of the eggs. You either pick between the ugly legendary egg, which I think even uses an old egg mesh from one of the old egg hunts, which is incredibly lazy on their part, or you can choose the Fabergé, which when you wear looks horrendous, but the egg itself looks beautiful because it's a Fabergé, and I love Fabergés. So you either get to pick one of these, you'll have to do the entire boss fight again to get the other. I don't know if that's intentional, if that's a bug, if you're not supposed to have both of them, but I have both of them, and I know that it works, that if you just replay the boss, you can get the other one. So if you take the egg, you get the legendary. If you seal it, you get the Fabergé. And if you take it, the cutscene is so broken. If you look closely, you can even see my legs in the background of the cutscene and my character having like multiple arms coming out of him. What is this? Yeah, this boss fight, it needs some fixing. But yeah, Egg Hunt 2019, if you want to see my full review, go on my main channel. I'll probably leave it in the description for you guys to watch. But I just wanted to talk about all the things that were wrong with the Eggwick boss fight and, you know, why they should be fixed, because it's really not a fun boss fight and it's not really that enjoyable. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this video. I'll see you in the next one, and bye-bye.